The Sunday Reset. A 30-minute weekly review that keeps solo creators from flying blind. One short weekly ritual replaces a week of scattered guessing about what to work on next. Nobody is going to walk into your home office on Monday morning and hand you a priority list. That's the part of solo creator life nobody warns you about. No manager assigning the week's work. No team stand-up forcing you to say out loud what you're doing and why. So most weeks just happen to you. An email here, a comment reply there, a half-finished product sitting in a folder since March. The fix isn't a more complicated system. It's a 30-minute ritual, done every Sunday, that looks at 3 things only. What happened last week, what the numbers say, and the top 3 things worth doing next. Creators who run this consistently stop guessing and start compounding, one deliberate week at a time. Why solo creators need a weekly reset more than anyone else. Employees get direction whether they ask for it or not. A manager sets quarterly goals, breaks them into weekly tasks, and checks in every Monday whether things are on track. Solo creators have none of that scaffolding, which means the default state of the business is reactive. You respond to whatever's loudest that day, a DM, a slow sales week, a trending sound you feel obligated to jump on. None of it adds up to a strategy. A 30-minute Sunday reset is the cheapest substitute for a manager. It forces a weekly pause where you, not your inbox, decide what matters. The ritual works because it's small enough to actually happen. Ambitious creators often try elaborate quarterly OKR systems, then abandon them within a month because the overhead is too heavy for a business of one. 30 minutes, once a week, with a fixed 3-part structure, survives busy seasons, sick weeks, and launch weeks alike, which is exactly why it should be the backbone of your focus system. Not a nice-to-have-you-do when things are calm. This isn't a to-do list refresh. If your Sunday reset turns into rewriting the same 40-item task list in a new notebook, you've missed the point. This ritual is about direction. What 3 things matter next? Not about capturing every possible task. The 3-part structure. Wins, numbers, next 3. Every version of this ritual that sticks reduces to the same 3 moves, done in order. Skip 1 and the loop breaks. Wins without numbers turns into vague self-congratulation. Numbers without wins turns into anxious spreadsheet staring. And either without a clear next 3 list means Monday starts exactly as reactive as last Monday did. Wins, 8 minutes. Write down every real win from the past 7 days, no matter how small. A sale, a kind reply, a piece of content that actually landed, a task finally shipped after weeks of avoidance. Numbers, 12 minutes. Pull the actual figures, revenue, new customers, repeat buyers, top-selling product, email list growth, from one dashboard you trust, not from memory or vibes. Next 3, 10 minutes. Choose exactly 3 priorities for the coming week, ranked, each with a 1-sentence definition of what finishing it looks like. That's the whole ritual. No elaborate templates, no hour-long journaling session. The discipline is in doing it every single week in that order, even during a slow week when part of you would rather skip straight to scrolling. Step 1. The wins scan. Start with wins, because starting with problems primes you to spend the whole session in a defensive crouch. The wins scan isn't ego stroking, it's data. A win you can name specifically. The carousel post about pricing drove 4 sales of the template pack. Tells you something repeatable. A vague win, good week overall, tells you nothing actionable. Write at least 5, even in a rough week. There's almost always a small one hiding, like a customer reply that turned into a testimonial. Step 2. The real numbers. This is the step most creators skip or half do, because pulling numbers from 5 different places, a payment processor, a social platform's native analytics, a spreadsheet nobody's updated since last month, is exhausting enough that people just stop. The fix is consolidation, not more discipline. If your storefront runs on store.fan, your sales dashboard already tracks revenue by product, new versus repeat customers, and your top performer for the week. So the numbers step becomes a 5-minute scroll instead of a scavenger hunt across 4 apps. You don't need every number every week. Pick the 5 that matter to your specific business and check the same 5, same order, every Sunday. Consistency is what turns a single week's number into a trend you can actually read. One data point is a fact. 5 weeks of the same data point in a row is a trend, and trends are the only thing worth reacting to. Step 3. Choosing next week's 3. This is where the ritual earns its keep. Look back at your wins and numbers, then write exactly 3 priorities for the coming week. Not 5, not a full page. Rank them. The first is the single highest leverage move, the kind that shifts revenue or audience meaningfully if it works. The second addresses whatever the numbers flagged as slipping. The third is maintenance, the recurring task that keeps things running while you chase the first 2, like sending a broadcast email or clearing your inbox backlog. Priority 1 is specific enough to know when it's done. Finish and price the second template beats work on products. Priority 2 directly answers a dip you saw in this week's numbers, not a random idea that popped up. Priority 3 is a repeatable maintenance task, not a new initiative. None of the 3 take more than a few focus sessions. If it's genuinely a multi-week project, break off just this week's slice. The list is written somewhere you'll actually see it Monday morning, not buried in last Sunday's notes. If you're staring at a blank numbers section because there's nothing to review yet, no sales, no list, no dashboard, that's actually this week's answer. Priority 1 becomes: create your store and get a first offer live, because a review ritual is only useful once there's something real to review. Making the ritual actually stick. The single biggest reason weekly reviews die within a month is that they're treated as optional, something you'll get to if Sunday is calm. Calm Sundays are rare. Treat the 30 minutes like a client call. Same time on the calendar, with a notification. Sunday evening works well because it closes out the week before Monday starts. But early Monday morning is a fine substitute if weekends are sacred. What matters is that the slot never moves for anything less than a genuine emergency. Keep the record in one running document, oldest at the top, so each week starts by glancing at last week's next 3 before writing this week's. That single habit, checking whether you actually did what you said you'd do, is what separates a review that changes behavior from one that's just pleasant journaling. It stings a little to admit priority 2 didn't happen again. That sting is doing its job. FAQ. Running your own weekly review. Key takeaways. A weekly review is a decision-making tool, not a journaling exercise. It exists to produce next week's top 3 priorities. 3 inputs are enough: last week's wins, this week's real numbers, and a short unfinished business scan. Cap the output at 3 priorities. Anything longer is a wish list, not a plan. Numbers should come from one place you actually trust, like your store, fan sales and customer dashboard, not 5 scattered screenshots. The ritual only works if it's scheduled like an appointment, not squeezed in whenever you remember. Start your Creator Store free at store.fan.